This board lets you turn your city into a snow slope. It sounds crazy, I know, but by taking you on an adventure through one of England's biggest cities, we're going to find out how that's even possible and how you can do it as well, so that you too can bring the snow to your city. I'll show you how freeboards are definitely not the same as a skateboard or a longboard, and we'll find out how some of the best freeboarders in the world turn their own cities into giant concrete mountains.
Yo, so we are in Bristol and we are going to be testing whether you can snowboard in your city with this incredible board called the Freebord 5X. It's Freeboard's next generation of skateboard which emulates snowboarding on roads, and I'm going to be testing whether you can do it in a city where there's cars and all kinds of quality of roads. So I'm very excited for this one. Let's see what we can get.
The reason for choosing to visit Bristol today is because it's a city that's effectively based on a hill. So when it comes to freeboarding and you're walking up hills to carve down them, it's pretty much as good as it gets for it. So once we'd arrived, it was incredibly sunny and it was time to warm up. Hitting the first road of the day was very enjoyable. Now, I hadn't been on the freeboard for about a week before this, but it didn't take long to start drifting away and practicing all of the tricks that I'd been drilling the week before. One of which is to do a shifty out of a spin like this. It was so incredibly sunny, and England has not been like this for about a year. And when the weather's so perfect for freeboarding like this, it really does make you appreciate having stuck with the freeboard, because you can then just grab your board and go looking for local pistes in the sun. It is fantastic. After a little bit of exploring, I found a nice little narrow path with this sort of square paving, which is always great to practice for more technical freeboard riding. And I've got to say, if you don't ride pavements normally, definitely give it a go. It would be a waste to learn how to freeboard and not be able to go down pavements. I mean, just watching Geordie, Quentin and Loic over on the Cool Kids video really does show you how much more freedom you have on the freeboard if you have developed these technical skills. I mean, it just looks completely sick. It really is that feeling of complete control over your speed which takes you from not enjoying learning to freeboard to being something that you'll want to just keep going out and doing anytime you get the chance. So after a few of these technical runs, learning to control my speed better, we went to attempt another road, because the goal was to go down the busiest road in central Bristol. Now, for those of you that have been watching the channel for a while, you may have joined me on the last adventure through the city, where we practiced riding freeboards down roads, which for a lot of people, me included, can be a huge psychological block. Well, since then, there was a road that I haven't wanted to go down because there was too much traffic. Well, here it is. In the spirit of rising to the challenge, I thought I'd attempt it. And it really wasn't half as bad as I'd imagined it would be. You just have to wait at the top of the hill for the traffic lights to turn red, keep a good focus on the road in front of you for any potholes, and always check behind you to make sure that you're not holding up any traffic in case you need to speed up. Once there was traffic, it was a good opportunity to pick up some speed. And the best part is, you can always drift to stop. Which gets me onto a classic misconception about freeboarding, which came up in the comment section last week. And that's about the hooks and how difficult it is to get out of them. Now, if you're new to freeboarding, you might think that they're a bit like mountain board hooks, but freeboard hooks are quite different because they are incredibly easy to jump out of. It's a bit like magic, because once you're used to them, they feel strong enough to be really firmly hooking your feet, while also being incredibly easy to jump out of if you need to. So I would highly recommend ignoring anyone who says that the hooks make it unsafe. It really is the exact opposite, because it's the hooks that allow you to have such good control over your speed.
Now, I've just found a spot which I think that you'll find incredibly cool. It's this sort of road, and it really does just go like waves. It's a very nice road, and so we'll see what we can get on it. So let's go.
Other than the shifties, I've been really liking this trick where you kind of do a spin and then hold the edge and then undo the spin in the other direction. Like here, I hold the edge and then just as it finishes, I undo it the other way. The first time I did this was completely unintentional, but if you do get into freeboarding, you will find that the freeboard has a kind of mind of its own and does come up with its own tricks. I then set up the Insta360 with a tripod, and honestly, the Insta360 is so useful for finding out how I'm doing my freeboard tricks and where I need to improve them. I used the Insta360 X2, which although is very expensive, was completely worth it, because it has gotten me out freeboarding more times than I can count, and is super useful if you want to figure out what went wrong on a particular run, and hence why the tripod is so useful as well.
Alright, that does it for Hill Street. We're going to look for some more spots. Who knows what else lies in the city of Bristol, but let's find out. Okay, so I can imagine if you're new to the freeboarding scene, you might be wondering how long it would take for you to be able to carve around your city like this. Now, I started freeboarding properly around a year ago. Obviously, it depends how much you end up enjoying it at first and how often you go out and shred. But I think that if you watch all of the tutorials I've made, that will rapidly accelerate the progress. And I think that you could probably get to the stage that I'm at in a much shorter time. So we're probably talking 4 to 6 months if you really go at it quite often. Now, you'll probably have the same experience as me in that when you first find out about freeboarding, you watch all of these videos, it looks incredibly fun and smooth, and to be honest, it looks borderline easy to do. But when you first pick up the freeboard, I really wouldn't be surprised if you find it quite difficult to begin with. The trick is to just stick with it. I think there's a point where you begin to understand that you can control your speed to any degree, no matter how steep the road is, and at that point, you'll really discover how incredibly fun this kind of skateboard is. Now, I had one comment wondering whether this was a gimmick, but with the community, how incredibly fun it rides, and the fact that it teaches you to snowboard without ever actually touching any snow, which is just mental in my opinion, suggests to me that it really isn't a gimmick. And although it might be a niche sport right now, I do think that it's going to pick up at some point soon. So I have found something which, if you're watching Mike Hoppe, a famous freeboarder, is right up his street. And if you don't know about Mike's obsession with owls, then here we are. So there's a little plug for Parliament boards, and he's doing lots of interesting content based on very specific details of the freeboard and how they could possibly be made better in the future. So definitely check him out if you have the time. Otherwise, let's go to the next spot.
Had the opportunity to practice this trick here, which is a pretty awesome trick inspired by Pierrot over in Lausanne. I think that practicing overslides and shifties has really helped me get to grips with this trick because it used to really confuse me before. But practicing this trick in the sun was ideal. You really just can't beat freeboarding in the sun.
Another point that's worth mentioning is that a lot of the tricks that I've just been doing with the 5X are things that I've learned on an older generation board with the fixed metal truck in the middle rather than the split system that you would see on the 5X. The reason that I'm mentioning this is because often when you're practicing or learning one of these tricks, you'll fall off quite a lot and the board can kind of go off into the distance and slam against curbs, or you'll send it across the street and the board's just bound to get damaged. Now, I really wouldn't advise doing that with the 5X because the springs are a little bit more fragile than the other generation boards. So if you do want to do these kinds of tricks on the 5X, then it's probably worth picking up one of the other generations like G3, G3R or 5, and then learn the tricks on those. And then once you know how to do them, start shredding the 5X with it. If you want to start really picking up and doing these overslides, the spins into overslides or the spins into shifties, all of the stuff that actually makes freeboarding look really sick, then I would probably advise having another board to practice these sorts of freestyle tricks as well. But for those of you that are new to freeboarding, just starting out, the Freeboard 5X is completely fine for a beginner.
It's actually probably the best board for a beginner.
And it's only for these more advanced tricks that it's worth picking up a more durable board. If you are interested in picking up the Freeboard 5X, then Freeboard have been very kind to provide the channel with an affiliate link. So if you buy through that link, you'll be supporting the channel so that I can make more tutorials, go to more events, and keep pushing this incredibly underrated sport.
And for the regular viewers, you might be interested in joining the community. You'll get early access to new videos and a Discord server so that you can send in and get feedback on your freeboarding videos and help improve even faster.
Either way, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a good one.